I've made some rather crazy things with vibrant visuals, but this might be my most ambitious yet, because I made a working drive-in cinema which can project a movie onto the screen using vibrant visuals. This is genuinely really cool, so let's sit back in Minecraft. It feels very good being back here on my creative testing world. I've spent a lot of time trying to push vibrant visuals as far as possible, the likes of my working sundial, which actually tells the time fairly accurately, and then the number of videos I've made making doors with vibrant visuals. I mean, look at this. This is crazy that this is possible in vanilla Minecraft. I mean, look at that. But today I really want to try and push things as far as possible, because I want to see if we can try and make a working projector which actually projects films onto one of those sort of big screens that you see in drive-in cinemas. Not that you really get those nowadays, which is a shame because I think they're just genuinely so cool. So we need to try and figure out how a projector actually works. And I did some research. It's actually very cool. So this is actually how a projector works in the real world. We've got red light, we've got green light, we've got blue light, and when they all mix together, they make white light. And because it's white, it means you can color whatever way you want. And then they've basically got an image right here, which then all those lights combine and then they shine out the front, which then would project it onto a big screen. Now, I'm sure you have realized that currently no image is getting projected because that's not how it's going to work in Minecraft. Even when it's nighttime, nothing is getting projected because these lanterns do not actually cast any shadow. You see, shadow only comes from the sun and the moon. You can see that I'm getting illuminated or my shadow is visible. We're going to have to use the sun as our projector basically. I've also turned off daylight cycles so the sun is going to stay where it is just for now, just until we figure out what we're doing. And what's more as well, if we've got colored glass here, you can see that it's not actually creating colored light. So everything is going to be basically a black and white image. So this is going to be really, really tricky. And to make matters worse, when we turn on daylight cycle, you can see that the shadows actually move. We can't even have a stationary film, or at least not during this time of the day. When the sun is setting and the sun is rising, the shadows don't actually move. You can see that the sun is going to continue to move, but the shadows are not, which means we can have a stationary film and it's not going to get messed around because the sun is moving, or the shadows moving rather. This is definitely possible. And so knowing this, let's create the big screen, and I'm thinking mushroom blocks would be perfect. I mean, it's kind of got that big screen look, and wow, my shadow is really visible on them as well because it's so white. I mean, you can see on the grass just how that's crazy. Okay, that is good to know. So we go for something kind of that size. I don't want it to be too big. I think that's a decent size for a drive-in cinema. And then whilst we're here, we might as well start detailing it. And I just want to thank you all very, very much for getting the channel to 15,000 subscribers. I mean, that is just so crazy. Just thank you all just so much. I mean, I really am speechless. And thank you as well for our sole channel member as well, supporting me directly. That is really very, very much appreciated. But you can see that's our kind of screen shape in place. And again, look how visible the shadow is. So that is great. You can see a little bit of a cloud. That's fine. But yeah, it does look like a big screen. And now it's time to try and figure out our projector. So I'm going to look at my shadow. I'm going to set a block just right here. And you can see that the block is not actually blocking the screen. That is good. So we kind of want it to just kind of rest there. And so in that way we can have things on top. And it looks like we're on the screen. And you can actually do quite a lot with that because the screen is so thin. There's not going to be any visible redstone. It's going to look really clean. And then we could have some armor stands here as well. We'll give this guy a trident. We can even pose them because we're in Bedrock Edition. And so we've got something like that. And then we can even have another armor stand with a shield. And so even though it's just pixels, you can kind of see exactly what's happening, which is really, really cool. I mean, the possibilities with this are really unique. I mean, you can definitely see everything which is happening behind me, which we could probably fix right now. So I'm going to just basically build up either side, and I imagine, yeah, so we're going to go one block higher as well, and then out this side as well. And so you may not have known this, but we can put some glass, maybe not there. We could put some glass here, and then place shulker boxes right there, and you can see exactly what's happening because the shulker boxes only cast a shadow when you're looking at them. Does that make sense? You can see them right there, but then when they move out of view, they are gone. And so that could definitely be the way of hiding the projector. But for now, let's just try and figure out how we actually make a film. I mean, we of course want our sort of actors to be moving, so we could definitely try something like this, where he's just on the rail, and then, I mean, he is sitting down. Maybe that's not gonna, that does not look good at all. I mean, you can see a move, which is really cool, but that is definitely not the way to go. And what's more as well, in the most recent video that I uploaded, where I'm just kind of messing around and trying to get better with redstone, I made this music box, so we can definitely try and add some kind of musical element to it. And this is basically just a piston feed tape, and you can just add notes wherever you want them, and then it will just play some kind of musical track. So it does actually work quite well. Oh, wait a minute. We could just have a... That wasn't very good, but why don't we just have our actors on a piston feed tape that just gets shuffled round? So if we get some pistons and then some redstone torches and repeaters, and then I was reading a comment about 0-tick pistons. I had no idea what they were, but we kind of have something like this where this is going to come up. So we're going to have a repeater right here because I want it to be kind of like a feed tape like this all the way along the bottom and then back up this way. So if we have it this powered, which then powers this block, which then powers the redstone through and then shuffles everything along, we can then do the exact same thing for this side. So that's going to shuffle everything around, and then anything on top, please tell me you're going to get dragged around. Really, imagine it's only for... that is great. And then we can watch them on the screen get moved. Oh my days. That is so cool. And so take a look at this here. This is working. So we can have things up here on the conveyor belt if I could land on it. And then we could try and make them just walk in this direction. Or maybe have another piston feed tape which pushes them in this direction. The only problem with that is if we have blocks up there, you can definitely see them. But let's make this go even faster. We can do that by placing that in there. And you can see it's just sped up so much more. Okay, excellent. We're just going to basically add in some glass like that. And then we'll even put one on this side as well. And then basically bring it round. Probably all the way to there. And so that way, if we have our zombie in there, he's just going to get dragged along. Is he walking against it? Maybe not. We need something to try and lure him. So we could just have a villager. This is kind of cruel. We could just have a villager on this side. Look at that. Whoa. Okay, careful, careful. Look at that. So we basically want this zombie. We're going to add in, let's just add in a second zombie. Look at that. It's basically Minecraft. You know what? I want a villager with a nicer hat. And then you're really going to have to start running, buddy. Look at that. And we'll even push those guys ever so slightly further up. That is amazing. And you know what? Just to make sure that he doesn't get dragged too far along, I'm going to place that block there. The zombies think they'll be able to climb over that, but they can't. And then from the screen, look at that. You can see exactly what's going on, which is so cool. I really like that. I mean, it's just zombies just chasing villagers. It's basically just like, this is the Minecraft movie. I mean, this guy is going to be the healthiest villager ever. He's basically just on one forever treadmill. But look at this guy. So he's going to constantly be chasing this guy. He can't go any further back. So they're constantly in the middle of the screen. And then again, we can do some things in the background to really make it look like it's moving. And so we basically make another piston feed tape back here. So we're going to use a lot of glass to try and hide everything. And I am using bedrock tweaks. It's basically like vanilla tweaks just to get these silent pistons. But if we have another piston feed tape back here, and then it just comes up like that, and you can in fact see some of those pistons, which is a shame. That's annoying. You know what? We can even remove like these bottom 3 pistons. They really are not necessary at all. And so instead it's now kind of like this, and then that should cover the entire screen. Maybe one more again. And so now that is the entire screen covered up. And then we can have some kind of feed tape design with something in it. I'm not exactly sure. We can't really do it with the torches because we're going to have to incorporate some glass in there and then some blocks. So it's kind of like spaces to make it look like it's really moving. And I have in fact just noticed there, putting in these pistons, you can see that one there. That is unfortunate, but we could have that to advantage because we could make it kind of look like a sort of cliff face like that. Sort of like a... Oh, look at that. That is so cool. And then it just comes up like this. And then it's kind of like a cliff. That is really cool. And we can even have some grass here as well and some tall grass to really make it shine. And so what happens if we place that kind of here? That may be slightly too high. Maybe back one more and then all the way along. I mean, it's kind of making the feet submerged, which isn't great. Maybe, oh, we can't push it back anymore. Maybe we just have to go here and then bring it along like that. Why don't we use some tall dry grass? Because again, we can't see the colors, but it's all about how it looks. And that actually looks really cool. That is genuinely like actual grass. We'll even place some more on this side as well, just to make it... Look at that. They're actually walking on grass. That is crazy. I'm so excited by this. I just think that's so cool because you've got this entire scene working right here, yet it's only a block thick. And I've noticed as well, if you get too far away, they actually disappear, which is a shame. But from where you're watching it, you can see exactly what's happening on the film. And I've actually just had a thought, a sunset. And so we have the piston feed tape going down. This could be big. So we are going to keep this sort of cliff face, which is right there, because I think that looks really cool. And then we've got some pistons back here. And then again, just for testing purposes, we're just going to run a repeater straight into it like that, which can then power that block, which can then power that, which then goes up to here and powers the piston. I just want to see how far we can push this down. And then that will give us a rough idea of how we can make... Yeah, okay, that is perfect. Look how long that is. And then we can simply have it come down from under here. And then we can then have it pushed. And so now it's just going to basically be this big thing right here. Now, I'm not too bothered about how fast this is. So we can do one of these little tricks. I wonder if I can remember how you do this. Yeah, look at that. So basically, it's just going to push around. And then this basically locks it. So it's not going to basically just keep updating with the observer. So we can just have a couple of these, which would then just basically push the entire thing around. So we've got an observer. Let's have an observer right here. So that is our working piston feed tape, and we can just hook it all the way along, and so now it'll look slightly more animated, and I kind of want this just to be entirely glass with just a couple stars or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but let's get in our entire row of pistons all the way along, and then in order to get that sort of star look, I'm basically going to place in some lightning rods like that. You can just kind of see them kind of poking through. I'm going to do them on this side so that the big side is like that. Yeah, so it kind of looks like little stars, and then I imagine if we've got loads of these, and then when I place this block, it should start the entire thing to move. Oh my days. It's actually like, it's more like rain than it is. Okay, there's a big section where there's no lightning rods. Okay, that's good to know. And you know what? I know I was using lightning rods, but to make it really look like rain, I know we're going to go for stars. That's why we did that. Let's replace it with trapdoors, and then it will really look like rain. It's really thick rain, but it does look like rain. We could try the end rods. That could help. So I do want a lot of these just to really fill it out. Oh my days. It's raining on the film. I mean, it's a bit flashy, but it's just a little bit more movement. And you can see there's a big thing on the top. Let's remove all this stone back here so that it's slightly nicer looking. It's certainly very choppy rain. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. Let's try and make some more sort of designs and just kind of like terrain. So we could try and have maybe a rock on this side. We could even have a bit more of an overhang on that side. That looks quite cool. Just kind of just like looking through a cross section in a mountain. You know what might look good as well? Maybe a tree. So let's try and figure out where we need to place this. Probably right here, maybe there. Yeah, right there. Okay, we place in some logs like that, and then we basically make our tree shape. How big is a tree? Oh my days, look at that. That is so cool. I mean, it's a bit strange looking. Maybe I don't like that there. Maybe we could put it behind back here, and we've got a big tree like this, and then a whole load of leaves on the top. Oh, that looks quite cool. That's kind of like one of those cherry blossom trees. Look at this. It's like a little Minecraft world on the screen. And again, I'll just reiterate, the screen is only this thick, yet we've got an entire display on it. So we've now got our music box right here and over there as well. Structure blocks are so great. So we can now just program our music box. So this is, of course, like our Minecraft film. We need something to work with that. And I think I've got the perfect track. And so I've just inputted some sheet music. Let me know if you recognize this track, because I think this is perfect for our film. It is, of course, the Minecraft title track. I mean, that's just so iconic. And then this, with that film, I mean, there's something just really peaceful about it. We really need to work on the surrounding area, though, so let's do that now. Now, of course, this is a drive-in cinema. Not that you get cars in Minecraft, but you do get boats. So let's make it kind of like just a lake. I mean, I think that would be just a really, really cool and unique way of doing things. And so for the likes of covering the screen, we can just use the shulker boxes like we looked at earlier on. And so we can just kind of build it up kind of like this. And it's going to get to a certain point where we then need to switch to shulker boxes. And then once we're beyond that threshold, then it's just as simple as just bringing the terrain over and up. I mean, it does look a little strange, but I think once we get everything around it looking good, I think that will really help. So we can start trying to terraform the top as well now. And you know what? To make this look even better, let's get some big trees in here. And it's actually a really easy trick to get a big tree, which not many people know about. You just place some bone meal, place some fences, and you get a massive tree like that. And we can even just get a whole lot of bone meal in here as well, just to really just densify everything. And so with some very, very basic terraforming, we've now got something which looks a little something like that. Just ignore that, okay? It's maybe not the best. So imagine telling your friend to come and sail to the theatre to watch this at sundown. That is so cool. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it.